And let's just say the price is right because they start at $42,000. What's up, everybody? I'm a watch guy, and I know a lot of you guys out there are too. And the thing people think about watches is that they have to buy the most expensive one they can afford. That's not true. If you put the Hope Diamond on a homeless person, everyone's going to think it's fake. You put a bunch of fake diamonds on Rihanna, everyone thinks she's got a $3 million necklace. So the same is true with watches. Today I'm wearing a Movement watch, which I've got a couple of them now. They're actually really nice pieces. They're classic designs, they wear well, they have a good weight to them. All the stuff that you're looking for, or that I'm looking for in a watch, I can get in a Movement for a fraction of the price of anything else. Movement watches start at only $95, and there's a tremendous value there. The reason they're able to do that is because they're not going through retail stores and marking them up 2, 3, 4 times. They're just selling directly to you, and you get your value's worth. With over 1 million sold in over 160 countries, obviously they're doing something right. Get 10% off today with free shipping and free returns by checking the link in the description and using promo code SSROB for superspeedersRob. This watch has a really clean design and makes a great fashion statement. At such great prices, Movement watches make great gifts too. So join the movement. Today is the day you step up your watch game. What's going on, everybody? Rob Ferretti driving through an unnamed state, but it might be Arizona, but maybe not. The reason I say that is because when I was in Arizona, if I were still in Arizona, I just received a speeding ticket for a speed similar to this. But everybody seems to be going this speed in this area where I am now, so I think that was bullshit. We'll get to that in another video. Today I'm driving an Alfa Romeo Stelvio. And how am I driving this? Well, my buddy Chris heard I was coming to Phoenix, and he said, hey, I'll let you use one of my cars. I was like, and he's got a lot of Alfas. And he dropped off the Alfa Romeo Stelvio for me. And I don't have a lot of experience with the Stelvio, other than the fact that I saw it at the New York Auto Show, and I thought it was a very poor name for a car, because Stelvio, I think of Stelvio Pass, and when I think of Stelvio Pass, I'm not like, I could really use a mid-size SUV here. And that's essentially what this is. But now that I've driven it for about 500 miles, I can tell you this is a pretty solid car, and it made a believer out of me because I didn't come in with any expectations. I didn't even plan on making a video on it, but having driven it, I was really impressed to the point where I may actually go shopping and buy one if the price is right. And let's just say the price is right because they start at $42,000. I genuinely had to look that up because I thought it was like a $65,000 or $70,000 car or SUV. And at the it's competitive at that $70,000 price point. It's sort of a steal at the $43,000 price category. Now, styling-wise, I think it looks really nice. The wheels are nice. The car looks nice. It's the right size. It's big enough for a family, and it's not as big. You don't have that extra weight and length that you're carting around on the car like my wife is currently driving, the GLS 450. That's too big. I don't need that. We're a family. 2 parents, 2 kids. You don't really need much more than something like this. The X5 BMW, the what else is in this price category? This is like the GL 350. It's in that mid-size Range Rover Sport size, and it's really nice. It's got a 280 horsepower turbo 4. And that means it gets pretty decent gas mileage. And I didn't know, I didn't look into any of this until I was like, wow, I really like this car. Let me look up the stats. It's a solid piece. And styling-wise, I think it looks nice. I am slightly disappointed with a couple of things. Namely, the brakes are probably one of my bigger complaints. And not that it doesn't stop, not that I don't think it has enough brakes. I think it's needs a little bit more. And when I say that, I'll be driving along, I'll hit the brakes coming up to a stop sign or a traffic light or something like that. I'll apply constant pressure, and then as I get closer, I'm like, I gotta put more pressure, and I come to a more abrupt stop. That just means it doesn't have enough brakes. And when I looked into the wheels, there's room in the wheel wells for bigger brakes. So I think they should have stepped that up just a tiny bit and given it enough brakes. I mean, it's got plenty to stop. If I step on the brakes on the highway, it stops real well. It just is under broke, if that's a word, by just a little bit. So I would ask that they do that. Another thing I don't like, it does have these nice safety features that you wouldn't normally expect on a $40,000 car, but it's got the lane assist. Now, if I start drifting lanes here, which I will do, it gives me that very annoying sound. Now, what is that sound? And it tells me which lane I'm drifting into. That sound is akin to a blown speaker. It's not pleasant. You can give me a chime, you can give me a ding, a dong, or whatever. The womp, 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 the blown speaker sound, it just, as a car guy, it's just something that bothers me. I don't like that blown vibrating speaker sound. Probably because I've owned enough cars that had blown speakers, and it really just annoyed me because I wanted to listen to music, but then I kept getting that brum, 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 and it really chapped my ass. As far as functionality-wise, the car is pretty solid other than that. And now, it's got things that you don't expect in a $40,000 SUV. It handles speed very well. I mean, it drives really smooth, and in a state that's not Arizona, I may have not noticed I was doing about 115 miles an hour, and I didn't notice because it handled it very well. A lot of cars in the SUV category, the GM cars, you'll feel they get very floaty at speed where you're fighting the steering wheel. And with this one, it didn't. It tracked straight. It was comfortable. It did not feel like it was getting pushed or sailing around the road. And that's very important. That's more of a European SUV, like a Mercedes, BMW, Audi, that can handle speed better without being, I'd call it dangerous. I don't like a floaty feel to any vehicle, let alone an SUV. It's especially with the higher center of gravity. So that's a very positive thing about the car. The safety features has gotten, obviously I'm drifting lanes now, but if you use your blinker, it doesn't give you that lane assist womp womp. It's got enough horsepower to get you around the roads, even at 280 horsepower. The good thing about the Turbo 4 is it can get very good gas mileage. And one of my bigger complaints about like the Range Rover Evoque or some of these smaller engined SUVs and even the smaller SUVs is, although they get fairly decent gas mileage, they have very small tanks, so you have to fill up like frequently. This one doesn't, and it's got different modes, which I didn't realize. Right now I'm in N, and I can switch to this, which is D, which is like a sportier mode, more responsive throttle. I don't feel that it's got a very sloppy steering wheel feel anyway, but it does feel a little bit tighter when you put it in D mode. Unfortunately, I don't know what D, N, or A stand for. The only thing I notice is when you have this navigation screen, which is a fairly generous size in the front, when you switch it, it goes red to blue, which N I think is like neutral or like the standard driving mode. And then you can put it into the green mode, which is A, which actually I'm not the biggest fan of, although you'll see the fuel range on the dash go up. It's not as responsive on the throttle, and I don't like it. That it's good if you're on the highway and you're doing a road trip like I'm doing now. It's good that it gets that extra range, but it's not something I would typically drive in unless you're, like right now I'm on the highway for 80 some odd miles, so it's a good driving mode on the highway. But it's not good because I noticed when I put it in it yesterday, if you put it in that mode and go to pass somebody, you don't really have a lot of oomph to pass them. You have to actually drop it into normal mode to pass. So it's something, it's nice to have. It's not necessarily something that you need. The interior is really nice on the car. It's got more than enough space in the front and the back seat. I could say could use 3 more inches of legroom. It's got a little bit light in the legroom, and I only say that as a parent with a child seat that's facing backwards, because it sort of gets squished a little bit. So you don't really have that issue in a larger car like the GLS 450 or something, but then you're lugging around a lot more extra space that you don't need anyway. The interior is much nicer than you would expect for any $40,000 car, to be honest with you. The interior is spot on. It's a good $60,000 or $70,000 interior, and it's got all the bells and whistles that you could really ask for. I don't know, does it have, it's not touchscreen. That's one of the things I prefer in a car, is a touchscreen. This doesn't have it, but everything else it has is good. As far as usability and reliability, the only thing that I can say that I've noticed that was sort of weird was on cold start, it took a second to catch twice on me on cold start. So I don't know if that's, I don't know what that is. It could be a warranty thing, it just could be a trade of the car, but it did take 3 or 4 seconds to start the car, and the cold start where it catches and then it didn't catch and then it caught again. It could have something to do with the start-stop mechanism, which I think is one of my least favorite things that manufacturers have gone to, is that automatic start-stop. I turn it off on virtually every car I ever drive. But other than that, pretty solid all-around car, and decent stereo. Very nice. I like this sunroof that covers the entire top of the car. So the entire top of the car is glass. And if you ever want to look up and check it out, check out the stars or something like that, like I was in Sedona, great place to go check out the stars. It's sort of got everything. So for $43,000, if you're interested, it's definitely a solid thing. I don't know what the lease rates are. I don't know anything about it. But as far as pure sticker price and pure bang for your buck, the Alfa Romeo Stelvio is a solid value, and it gets a thumbs up from me. So check it out. I don't know where the nearest Alfa dealership is to you, and I can't really attest to long-term drivability, but it's a nice, quiet, comfortable, smooth ride, and I think it looks pretty good too. It's got probably the best headlights that I've experienced in any car, to the point where the low beams and the high beams aren't drastically different, but the low beams in this car, driving down the road at night, perfect field of view. I really like it. So that's something to, essentially, that's a big positive as far as the safety aspect goes. And it looks cool. So to get a cool looking car that's got that genuinely like luxury look and feel and drive to it, at $43,000, I think they priced it very well. And that's not something that I generally say about a lot of cars, that they're priced well. This one is. Check it out. Rob Ferretti approves. Thank you for watching. I will catch you next time.